So I'm going to give you a few hints for each one. Let's start with letter A. I want you to be careful when it says function. How do you represent function? Make sure when you're doing the domain, you're giving it to me in set notation and interval notation. Now, don't just focus on what makes something undefined. Focus on the idea that this is a real life situation. What is a possible value? What is a value that's not possible? And that's what they're asking for here. So after you give the domain and the range, you are literally telling me values. And don't go, -5 is not realistic. Can you be more general? Okay, I need all x values that are possible and not. Make sure that your graph is perfect. Don't just blah, blah. Okay, look at the back. And don't forget that there's a back. Show me the steps and make sure you're no problem. Let's look at letter B. Letter B is very similar to letter A, okay? Which means if you know somebody that's doing A, ask them, how do they do it? Make sure your graph is perfect. Do your function, set notation, interval notation. Tell me the values that are not possible, and then turn it over. Make sure you show your work and simplify. Don't forget to state the restrictions. Letter C. Now remember, for letter C, I made a couple oopsies, but I want you to really be careful because it says exactly. Like if you get an answer like 3 7/8. 3 7/8, I don't even know what that means, 3 7/8 hours. So you've got to figure out 3 hours and 7/8 minutes. Well, how many minutes is that exactly? You need to tell me. Now, if it ends up being like 53.7, then either say 53 minutes or 54 minutes. Okay? And you know there's 60 minutes in an hour. And then if you look, there's a problem right there. Make sure you show me the work to simplify it. Make sure I'm clear about the steps. Letter D. Letter D is similar to letter C. Make sure you answer the question exactly how long it would take. Make sure it's a rational equation. Okay? And make sure you show your work to get the answer. Then here's the simplifying. Be careful because you've got to know it's stepping it up a little bit. Letter E. Letter E is similar to C and D. Exactly how long? Tell me the equation. Show me the work. Give me the answer. Make sure you do this step by step. I made a couple mistakes because I went a little bit fast. So make sure you're very clear so that you get the right answer, stating with restrictions. Letter F is different. What I want you to do is I want you to take 1 over A and put it in for X. And take this and put it in for Y. And then simplify it to a very, very simple answer. And I'm telling you right now, it's a very simple answer. Okay? And then they want to know, okay, well, if I had values for X and Y, what values couldn't be possible in Y? And if you had a value for A, what couldn't be possible in Y? Make sure you answer Y. Okay? Doesn't have to be a long sentence. You could point to it and go, look, see, here's the reason. For letter G, what I want you to do is 2 things. I want you to solve for R algebraically and numerically. And that means what I want is, let me show you, like R equals. So the first thing I want you to do is take this and manipulate this equation so that you end up getting R equals something, 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 where there's going to be X's and Y's. Who knows where they're going to be? I don't know. There might be a plus in there. I don't know. I'm making it up. But you need to manipulate the equation. Okay? And please, don't be silly and just flip that thing. Okay? All right. So with that being said, the other thing I want you to do is then take 2/5, put it in for X, take 3/4, put it in for Y, and then solve for R. Not 1 over R, solve for R. That's the numeric answer. Okay? Don't be surprised if there's a fraction. This one. Okay. This one is probably the most difficult one. And I would say focus on this. And what you need to do is solve this equation in terms of t. So you need to move this whole thing around so that t is all by itself, and that's what you're going to write here. So you're going to write, instead of r equals like in the previous one, t equals blah. And it's going to be manipulated. Now what I want to do is I want to show you a different equation. If I had y equals, and you'll learn this next chapter, let's say I had this, and my goal was to solve for x. I want you to look at what I'm doing here. And it's a little hint. It's not going to be very obvious, but it's a little hint to help you go. Okay? That would be gone. Distribute, distribute. And then if you notice, I have X's on both sides. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this over here. And then I'm going to, let me erase this here, I'll just get new paper. I'm going to distribute out the X. So the two X's become 1. And then now I just have to move this because it's being multiplied. And then now it's solved for X. This one is a little bit more complex, but I want you to see what I did. Sometimes I have to move things around. So maybe this has to go there, this has to go there, and then you have to multiply both sides. Be really aware of that. So go slowly on this. This is a great opportunity. I'll tell you right now, it took me a lot of steps to get this done. Lastly, I will say, if you want to do it on a separate piece of paper, I'm over putting it on that paper. Just make sure it's very clear so that I want to give you a good grade. Good luck. And it's due on Thursday, tomorrow.